Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DeCharis, CPA, coming to you live from downtown Bethpage, Long Island, New York, for another amazing episode of How to Win at Business. And if you're watching live, folks, give me a hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, give me a hashtag replay. If you have any questions or comments, please post them in the chat. Even if you're watching the replay, I will get back to the beauty of this technology is I get notified anytime somebody comments, asks a question, requests any kind of information in the chat. That includes LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Unbelievable, folks. You know, about 15 years ago, I wrote out what Napoleon Hill called the definite chief aim. And I'll chills go down my spine now when I think about it, because I wrote that I was going to talk about these subjects and reach millions of people. And I really had no idea. I had no idea on how that was going to happen. I had no plan. All I did was I put it out to the universe. And here we are. Here we are, instantly for free, being able to reach millions of people all over the world. And uh, what the people that this affects, there are tens of millions of people that this information affects. And if it affects you and it resonates with you, if I resonate with you and you'd like to chat with me about your situation, please don't hesitate to book a chat with me. Just go to timewithjoe.com. I'm happy to share my knowledge and experience with anyone that has an issue with some of the things that we talk about. Also, I'd like to invite you to mastermindwithjoe.com, which is a free platform where we get together every Friday right now at 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And what we do is we come together as a group. We network. We mastermind. We do hot seats. We ask each other questions. We don't always have the answers, but we have fun. We play a game called Jeopardy, which was the brainchild of my assistant Elizabeth, and you really have to experience it. It's We're the only accounting based firm that actually has fun during tax season. And that's right, we are talking about taxes. And tonight is the start of a series of uh, of instructions and lessons on a topic that nobody wants to talk about, but it's always in the backs of people's minds. It creates fear and anxiety in hundreds of millions of people across the United States, and it has to do with those dreaded tax notices that we all get at one time or another, whether you like it or not. Especially if you own a business, and that's who we target. We target the smallest of small businesses. You know, the larger businesses already went through a lot of the pain and suffering that small businesses, especially if you're just starting out, you may be uh, getting the shock of what it's really like to be in business. It's not all fun and games, and you know, it's like going to the dentist. You know, you don't want to, but you have to. So if you want to be in business, you got to figure out a way to deal with the IRS. If you're one of those people that procrastinates and you just want to stick your head in the sand, I get it. I get it. Believe me. But this ain't going away. This ain't going away. Just like a cavity could turn into major root canal. We don't want root canal. We want to nip this in the bud when it happens. And recently, the IRS woke up and said, you know what? We're not processing millions of returns, and we're still sending letters out telling people that they haven't filed their return. Meanwhile, maybe they did, and we just haven't processed it yet. So finally, somebody woke up and said, "Hey, maybe we should do something about this. Like maybe we should stop sending the notices." So we're going to start with the notices that the IRS has recently stated that they're going to stop sending. Now, just because they say something, uh, recent experience shows that they're not always going to do what they say. They have good intentions, they want to, but sometimes the infrastructure, the computer systems, the outdated computer systems, don't agree with what what they want to do. So anyway, there's a couple of notices that I want to bring to your attention that if you come under one of these categories, we're going to do two things. We're going to identify the type of notice, and we're going to explain to you in this series. There's not enough time to do this all in one shot, but we're going to explain to you by the end of this series, and I don't even know how many segments we're going to have, but it's going to be as many as it takes to go through each and every type of notice and what it means to you and how to respond to it. Okay, and also if you can't respond to it because you need time, ways to hold off the IRS from their onslaught, from their uh, collection tactics, and whatever else you might want to call it. But the bottom line is, we need to put the machine on pause, so that you have some breathing room, some time to regroup if you have to, maybe get some professional advice, but get on top of this. Get on top of this. It's like, if you have a lapse in your insurance, you don't just, stick it under the pillow. You call the insurance company. You either take your car off the road, you do something, but you can't just ignore it. So let's go to the CP80. You see, every one of the tax notices has a code in the upper right hand corner. Okay, that's how the IRS identifies, what uh, level you're at in the process, because there is a process. So the CP80, this is a notice of an unfiled tax return, and it's generally sent to the taxpayer, or a person who's not paying their taxes. When the IRS has credits, in other words, you've made a payment, and this happens a lot. This happens a lot. Maybe you made an estimated payment. Maybe you had a payment applied from another time period, but you have a credit, and the IRS does not have a tax return to match up with the credit. So you're going to get a what they call a CPA 80, telling you exactly what the situation is. So this is what you want to look at. You want to look at the year that they're talking about. Okay, and this information is going to be right in the front of the letter, the time period and the form. Okay, sometimes it's been filed. Sometimes it's been filed, and all you need to do is prove that it's been filed. Now, if it hasn't been filed, what you got to do is file it. So arguing with them over whether or not it was filed is fruitless. The bottom line is, what you need to do is draft a letter, and I'm gonna do a another training, which is gonna be just on how you draft a letter. So stay tuned for that. I hope you can watch the whole series, because there's a lot of important information that we're going to cover here. So that's CP80 if you have a credit. And again, another uh, strategy that I've been advising people to take is to create an online account with the IRS and get a record as far back as you can of all of your taxes. Now, you can get a transcript, you can just get an online record, but you want to see what they have on file for you. Because just because you've sent a return, and especially if you sent it in by mail, does not mean that it's been received and processed. Okay. And even if it's been received, in other words, if you send a return uh, with a return receipt record, all that proves is that you've sent it in. It doesn't mean that it's been processed. So you want to make sure that all of your returns have been processed. Okay. And don't assume that uh, one division knows what the other division is doing because they don't always talk to each other. Like I said, these computer systems are outdated. If you've moved, it might have went to a different service center. So you got to cover all of your bases. But the bottom line is if they're sending you a notice because you have an unfiled return, a CP80, you've you have an unfiled return, but they have money on account. Now, the the other issue is the statute of limitations. So let's say you have money on account, you don't file your return for 3 years, you might lose that refund. You could lose the credit. They'll process your return, but they're not going to give you a refund because there is a 3-year statute of limitations, and that's a whole nother conversation. We're not going to get into that now. Now, CP59 is worse. It's worse because not only did they not get the return, they have no payment on record. Now, again, just because you didn't file a return doesn't mean that you have to file a return. What they're saying is you haven't filed a return. Now, this is all for individual taxpayers, okay? Businesses have a couple of different ones, and we're going to go through that. There's different notices also for payroll, so we'll cover that. But this is basically for unfiled 1040 returns. Now, sometimes you're not required to file because you just didn't have enough income. Let's say you filed your whole life and then you retire, you get no retirement income, all you get is Social Security. Well, if all you're getting is Social Security, you're not required to file. In fact, if you do file after a couple of years, they're going to send you a notice saying, please don't file anymore unless you have income. So CP59 is unfiled returns. CP759 is the same thing, only in Spanish. Now CP516, now you're getting there because this is the second notice. Okay. So there's 3 notices that go out. The first one is you haven't filed a return. The second one is, hey, we sent you a CP59 and you haven't responded. What's the deal? And then CP518 is the final notice. And when they say final notice, there is really no final notice because what they're going to do is if they have information on you, they're going to file an estimated return. So let's say you have W-2, 1099 income, Social Security, retirement, interest income, whatever they have, they're just going to file the return for you in their favor. They're not going to give you credit for any kind of deductions. So you don't want that to happen. So this is the what they call a final notice. That's a CP 518 and it's a CP 618 if it's in Spanish. And I'm not translating this in Spanish. So if you only speak Spanish, I can't help you with this. Now, CP 501, now we're getting, so the unfiled returns is serious, but it can be resolved just by filing the return. CP 501 is you filed a return and you have a balance. Okay, they're saying, hey, you filed this return, you didn't pay us. We want payment. CP 503 is this is your second notice. This is the second time we're telling you, and you know, please pay the balance due. Now, just because they say you owe money does not mean that you owe money. Okay, and that's where I come in. A lot of times, you want to see if you owe money, and sometimes if you do, you have options. If you're unable to pay, if you're never able to pay, you might qualify for what they call an offer in compromise, which could wipe, most, if not all, of the debt out. Or at the very least, you could apply for an installment agreement. And again, I'll do another training just on installment agreements. Now, CP 504 is serious. This is where you get a notice due, third notice, and notice of intent to levy. This is when they say, "Hey, you got 21 days, and we're just going to take your bank account and any other assets that we can identify." Uh, and it's pretty serious. So something that happened this past year is a bunch of my clients got this CP 504. They didn't get a CP 501 or a CP 503, and it turned out that there was a glitch in the IRS system. That's what I was told. So it wasn't just a few of my clients, it was probably a lot of people got a final notice. Now, my clients know that when they get any kind of notice, that they're supposed to take a picture of it and text it to me, and I could tell them, what we need to do. A lot of times, notices from the IRS is just information. So keep that in mind. Most of the time, the IRS is just sending you information required by law. It could be privacy information. It could be an update on something that's going on. But just because you're getting a letter doesn't mean that it's bad news all the time. That's the point I want to make here. But these notices that have the codes, they all have to be addressed. Now, 2802C, this is something that just started maybe 10 years ago, and it's for people that are constantly not paying enough taxes. People that have W-2s or W-2s, basically retirement plans, sources that withhold at the source. In other words, if you're working for somebody, if you have a retirement plan, those third parties are supposed to withhold uh, your money. And the way that they know how much to withhold is either a W-4 form, which I covered a couple of weeks ago, or a W-9 form, which is for independent contractors. So now, if you're an independent contractor, they actually have a question on there if you're subject to backup withholding. So if you've gotten one of these notices, it means that you're subject to backup withholding. Now, this will explain to you how to correct your withholding. Now, if you're working for somebody, they're also going to get a notice saying that you can't claim 13 dependents anymore. Okay, that's something that's recent. They just started doing that. I can't tell you exactly when, but I know that when I had some large clients and their employees were getting, or we were getting letters about their employees, and we were forced to up their withholding. So that's all I have for tonight, folks. I don't want to do any deep dives yet. We're gonna. I could see this being, 5, 6, maybe even 10 installments, because there's a lot to cover here. Next time, we're going to go through some business notices that they've. Now, these are notices that they're not sending for the time being. Let me make that clear. Okay, these are notices that the IRS has said until further notice, they're not going to send these things out. That doesn't mean that if you have an unfiled return and or you owe money, that you should just wait until you get a notice. No. Uh, that that means that you still got to resolve the issue. It's not going away. If you owe money, interest and penalties, not interest and dividends. Interest and penalties are still accruing at a very high rate. The government isn't in the business of lending money, and uh, they don't want to make it simple. They want to make it painful. So interest and penalties are accruing at a very high rate. They want their money, and more important, they want people to be in compliance. That's the IRS's mission. The IRS's mission is to help taxpayers pay their taxes and stay in compliance any way that they can. They do that through professionals like me. They do that through information on their website, but they want to make it as easy for you to file and pay your taxes as easy as it could be, as easy and pain free as it could be. Okay, like I said, when you go to the dentist, they don't promise that it's going to be a fun, enjoyable experience. You're gonna feel a little bit of pain at least, but a good dentist is going to minimize the pain and make you want to come back because coming back is preventative. They want preventative maintenance, and that's what the IRS is looking for. Let's keep everything up to date, clean, and we won't bother you. So that's my story. I'm sticking with it. God bless. And like I said, I invite you to book a free chat with me, timewithjoe.com. And if you have time, go to my awesome website that I have nothing to do with. That's my great team. I just tell them, this is what I'd like to put up there, and they do the graphics, they do the messaging, they make it all beautiful and easy to digest. So go to Bedrock Business Builders. We uh, post our free workshops, ways you can book me to speak if you want. I love speaking to groups on specific topics, and that's it. Over and out. Good.